your idea, but here it is.
There was really nowhere to go outside the train yard that day. It really wasn't anyone's fault, but Joey forgot the money. That's not cool, man. That's not cool, man. A lot of people hurt
Watch
for
out
certain
for
change.
the pyramid cave. You do well under wicked.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the show. This is Channel Z, Zeph Daniel, and we are here. We are continuing our asymmetrical assault on the people that would like to silence us, silence you, silence everybody in the name of trauma, in the name of psyops, in the name of Satanism, in the name of perversion, in the name of bloodletting, in the name of mind control. Did you get all that? Okay, so today, as promised, we have a special guest we're going to try to uncover something that is extremely disturbing. And so I want you to hang tight. You're in for quite a ride today, and just realize that we're not going to go anywhere until we get this thing under control, whatever that means. Hello, Randy. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, Zeph.
You sound good. You sound awake. And I was just going over your letter, very well written, and I'm just going over the, what I might tell the audience just in introducing you. You say here that, just in the opening, it says a lot just in the first paragraph. It says, enclosed is the short story of my life I said I would send, and I also have copies of some pictures involving my memories. The pictures are how the memories started emerging. The very first one, a memory about satanic ritual abuse, was the picture of the wolf with the word Satana Luciferos.
Correct.
And I have this picture right in front of me, and these are very, very intense pictures, and maybe, with your permission, sometime we'll put them on the net.
Oh, I was going to tell you that anyway, that you do have permission.
Okay, then, folks, Trish will take pictures of these. Yeah, and then I'm gonna send these are absolutely horrifying. These are pictures that kids have drawn, and when we say kids, we mean these are altars. These are that are within Randy, and Randy is discovering them now, and they are drawing what I would call children's drawings, but they're horrifying. For example, there's one that's a demonic looking. They all have these ears, like you say, like wolves. Mm-hmm. Pointed ears.
Yes.
They're not horns, they're pointed ears.
Right, and I don't know what that's about.
If you had the upside-down pentagram, it would go exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you could finish the pentagram, it's a Luciferian kind of symbol, but what you've got above, like, for example, between the ears is an upside-down cross, and then, glowing red eyes, very demonic, and then sort of like vampire-type fangs.
Yeah.
And blood everywhere, and blood like they've been drinking blood.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a satanic ritual, drinking blood.
Right.
They do drink blood. That is true. Well, I'm trying to get to the one that the first drew, and I don't know why it's not here, but all these are very excellent.
Okay, I have it in front of me, too.
Okay, they're excellent drawings. Now, I don't know why I don't have...
I had it on the very top.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I can't seem to find it in that pile. Or maybe it's here. Okay, I think I have it now. Satana Luciferos. All right, the first drawing that came forth from you.
Right.
And it was, and basically, friends, we've been through this with Judy. We've been through this with Jane Whiting has been here. We've been through this with Regina. And so I'm kind of expecting you to jump ahead. I mean, I can explain it. We've been through this with Russ Dizdar countless times. So what I'm expecting of you, the audience, is to kind of jump ahead and just, rather than, we can't take the approach that someone took with me the other day. And as Randy so aptly points out in her letter, in her writings, that when they deny you the ability to tell your story, they say, well, I want more proof than these pictures. They're actually participating in the abuse when they deny you the right to have the truth. about yourself. Right, Randy?
Exactly. They're complicit in the continued perpetration of the abuse when they deny your reality, your experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like telling a rape victim they weren't raped.
You say, but this was a show the other day that I was on with someone who was a guest on my show, and she would not let me tell my story because she said I need proof. And I said I'm the one that went through it. Is that not good enough?
Right. It's like you are the smoking gun.
Yeah, but could not believe that the problem was could not believe that high level officials in government, famous personalities, were involved in Satanism and satanic ritual abuse. Could not believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
How could someone like, say, a Bob Hope be involved in something like that?
Naivete.
And I'd just say, well, you see something on TV, it doesn't mean that's the same thing that's going on off TV, is it? Now, that's from Bryce Taylor. And you know, I'm just verifying on the Bryce Taylor book, I validate that book because of the fact that she came from Southern California, where I came from, and all the locations and all the people and where they lived, everything was 100% accurate.
Yeah.
And I can verify it, but they won't let me.
Yeah, that's awful. I wanted to tell you something, though, about the Bryce Taylor. I just started reading her story.
Yeah.
And I caught something. You know that in The Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home, and how she clicks her heels? Mm-hmm. That is exactly the same as the Nazis clicking their heels. It's the exact same movement.
Wow.
I just caught that.
I never thought about that.
It's exactly the same.
Click your heels 3 times, and they click them by almost doing like remember the dance, the twist? When you click it, they twist out and then click back really fast.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Sieg Heil, click.
Exactly.
But
I caught that. Yeah.
Yeah, they would spin on their toes and then come back.
Uh-huh.
That's true. That was such an odd thing.
Uh-huh.
When you think about it, the whole goose-stepping thing is odd to me when I see, like the Iranian army.
Or I haven't watched them.
Yeah, they do the Nazi goose step.
Really?
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, military, fascinating watching militaries around the world. Mm-hmm. Now, your story, Randy, comes from the military. In other words, it begins with the military. It ends with the military. It involves the CIA. We've all heard about, I think society just, with all the books that have been published about mind control, and the CIA mind control doctors, and the Manchurian candidates, and you mentioned Colin Ross.
Yes.
And his book that kind of helped open your eyes a little bit, that you were also part of this, of the military-industrial complex.
Right.
Bill Clinton admitted that families were experimented on.
Right.
Psychiatrists have also posted thousands and thousands of pages of how they created mind control alters in people as experiments. This is all validated, and the public refuses to believe it. They want to say it's weird, like X-Files stuff.
Right.
Why do you suppose that is?
I think that the people in our country just have this idea that America could never be like the Nazis. I don't know. It's just like a childlike belief in our country that they just can't believe it.
They can't believe it, even though it's published and available for them to read about right in front of them.
Absolutely. I'm telling people all the time, it's all out there. It's all there. It's if you just look, it's right in front of your face.
Right. And what your research shows, and what when we compare our notes together, it shows that it's the entire system and every institution in it. It's the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and I began to realize before I even came across Colin Ross's book, Project Bluebird, that my system was constructed in a hierarchical military structure, set up that way, my internal multiple system. So it just totally validated what I had picked up already.
From and you concluded in your in the letter to me that you believe you are a monarch slave. And we've had monarchs here before, and that it's military programming. It's taken to military bases for programming for all kinds of purposes, including satanic ritual and satanic ritual abuse, and including play acting in different costumes.
Yeah. And where when I lived across from Andrews Air Force Base, there was a old Korean man that had a group of us children, and he was teaching us martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea who he was or why he was doing that, and so.
Yeah, you say that this man was that you suddenly found that you knew martial arts perfectly.
Yeah, recently I realized it's come back through implicit memory.
How recently did the first memory come for you? How long are we talking now from today, let's say?
Oh, somebody's trying to call. Ignore that. I think the picture that was drawn, the first one, was about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it wasn't until about a year ago that I realized I was able to accept that I was a multiple. I was in a lot of denial. Although other people, suggested just people that I knew, friends, an old pastor. I was like, no. Even though I had changed my name 7 times,
Now, okay, so you've lived with this for all these years. What was it like living? I mean, were you aware that something was wrong, that there was missing time, or how did it go? Were you aware that you were not aware that you had different personalities?
No, but I cannot tell you how many times I would change my appearance and the style of clothing and say, this is the real me, this is the real me, this is the real me.
I'd still have that problem.
Yeah. The time loss I noticed when I began therapy 3 years ago.
Okay.
And
tell me about your therapist.
I really believe that God put my therapist in my life because she's totally believes what I say. She's aware of satanic ritual abuse and multiplicity, and she's really been there for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm really grateful. And I get it for free, which is rare, so.
And do you think she's a victim also of it, or?
I don't think so. I think she's just a real caring person. Mm-hmm.
So she's helping you to uncover what are her thoughts? I mean, she's taken you through 2 years. 2 years, is it?
3.
3 years of therapy, and now this is all coming forth very rapidly now in the last few months.
Yeah. Well, her thoughts are it's going to take a long time, and she tries to help me to be patient because I want all the information right now. I get frustrated with my authors because they won't tell me. But the truth is, if they told me everything all at once, I think I would be completely overwhelmed.
Do you think you took part in criminal activity?
I'm certain. I don't remember it, but
that was
because I have been.
Okay, go ahead.
I have been programmed to kill. I realized recently. I really related to Duncan O'Finian a lot.
Duncan has had some hard. Keep him in prayer, folks, because he's had some hard times recently, and unfortunately, he suffered from being on the show. He was attacked after the show, and that makes me think I should have him on a lot more.
Yeah.
So get beyond those attacks, get more into freedom. But he had a triggering incident where, there were days that went by that he cannot account for, and this was just recently.
Yeah.
Now there's something on in the background. Is that your radio or?
No. Oh, what it is? My phone line has the AM radio on it.
Why is that?
I have no clue.
Did that just start now?
No, ever since I moved into this place.
I find that very odd.
Yes, it is, and I told you, I think I told you, well, in my short story at the end about how I was having a conversation with my neighbor about Raytheon and how 30 to 60 seconds after I got off the phone, Raytheon Systems actually called my phone. So I believe I'm being listened to. So I'm not surprised that I have the AM radio,
And
on my phone.
You say that you're surrounded by handlers and controllers. I can just tell you are. They're watching.
I want to know who they are, and I don't know who they are. I'm trying to figure it out.
Do the alters know who they are? The alter personalities within your system, inside your own personality, do they know?
I don't know.
Okay.
See, because I'm just, like I said, I've really only been aware of my multiplicity for about a year, so I'm just trying to get to know my system.
Did you ever take language lessons?
I did not take language lessons except in elementary school. We had, in 5th grade, a teacher came in, not a teacher, someone's parent came in and taught us a little bit of German. Not enough to know it fluently, but a little bit. You know, I can count to 11, and we sang Silent Night in German for a Christmas play.
Mm-hmm. Because your father was stationed in Germany. Were you there in Germany then at that time?
I was not, but I do find it interesting that he was stationed in Germany. Mm-hmm. You know, I wonder if something happened to him over there. See, at first I just suspected my father's side of the family, but now I suspect my mother's side of the family because, like I told you, all my life I've known that we're supposedly related to Zachary Taylor, and my family is not pretentious and into money. So
Zachary Taylor was one of the presidents of the U.S. And what do you recall the year he was president? The time?
I do not. I think he was murdered. There's that whole controversy over whether he was murdered or not. But they did find arsenic in his body, but not enough to kill him. But so many years have passed. I think if there was arsenic in it, then he was probably poisoned.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
well, this gets deeper and darker as we go through your story. And like I say, friends, you will have the advantage of some of these photos so that when you're listening to this, hopefully I'll be able to put an array of photographs on the sites that you can actually look at them. The first one's called Satana Luciferos, and that's the first one, which is a red figure that looks like, again, kind of dripping with blood. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 upside down pentagrams. That is the pentagram facing downward, the sign of Satanism, and of course called Satana Luciferos.
And through Google, I found out that is actually Italian, Satana Luciferos.
Ah.
Yes.
And this was drawn by Todd?
Yes, the 14-year-old.
14-year-old.
Satanist.
Okay, and Todd is a Satanist.
Yes.
And wow. And folks, if you can't hear, I can hear people laughing hysterically in the background on this AM radio, almost like it's synced up with us.
I heard that too.
You think they'll hear that on the tape, Trish? No. Well, okay. You finally got to the point where you realized, after a couple of years of kind of coming through one memory after another, mm-hmm. that you were a Monarch slave because you've read about what Monarch slaves are.
Right. And I feel like I'm just at the tip of the iceberg.
In that?
Yeah, in the memories.
I think, could it be possible that some of the memories are so horrific that, because I mean, if you read, say, anyone's books or listen to the testimony of Judy or some of the others that have been here, you realize that, they had these innocent victims involved in terrible, terrible acts.
Right.
That would haunt anybody for life. I mean, obviously these people don't have a conscience.
Right.
And you were programmed. It's not your fault. You can't take blame for what you participated in and what you did because mm-hmm. you were programmed to do it. Just like if someone's a Manchurian candidate and they kill somebody, is that person really responsible? I don't think so.
I agree with you, yeah. And especially as a child,
In the case of Duncan, he was taken at 6 years old, Duncan mm-hmm. O'Finian.
Yeah.
And he was, they worked on him ever since 6 years old.
Yeah.
What do you think your beginning was? Do you think it was?
I think it was an infant because I have an altar who's an infant that I call Baby Doe, as in like John Doe, Jane Doe.
Okay, so Baby Doe would be what, 3 years old?
No, a baby.
A baby 1 year old or under.
Yeah.
Okay, so they took you right from the cradle.
I believe so, yes.
Well, then your mother had to have been involved.
Well, see, my mother, she is so dissociated. She doesn't have memories of her own life. Even my grandfather said, you didn't grow up in this family because she doesn't even remember what they remember. So something happened to her, but I don't know what. And it's actually given me a lot more compassion for her because she did not protect me. Mm-hmm. But she's so dissociated herself that I think something happened to her.
Well, as we piece the puzzle together again, with survivor after survivor that comes forth, and I encourage all of you out there, I know there's a lot of you out there, and what Randy is doing is very courageous, but it's it's actually more problematic to stay in the closet, to stay in the darkness, because they can mess with you then. But when you step out in the light, you can see they're not, you'll find that, by trusting the Lord, obviously we're trusting Jesus for this deliverance right now. Amen.
Right.
And by trusting the Lord, now you're fully relying on Him. You're proving, number one, that Jesus is the answer to this issue. And this is the only answer I've seen. I've never seen anyone deprogrammed, just kind of on their own recognizance, without handlers being in control of them. In other words, a lot of time the deprogrammer becomes the new handler. I've seen that over and over again. And then when you have Jesus Christ out of the equation, there is no freedom.
Yeah.
You just go from one handler to another.
They're lucky I am a Christian, because I'm telling you, some of my altars want to find out who my programmers and handlers are and want to take them out, to tell you the truth. And I mean assassinate. But because I'm a Christian, I won't do that. But
do you think there's any danger of you being overrun by these altars and becoming violent?
yes, I have to be very careful. And that's, my therapist has really helped me a lot, in controlling, because I go like 4 days a week right now, because I have a lot of suicidal and homicidal programs.
You would almost be like what Russ Dizdar said, susceptible to the Black Awakening.
Yes, and I don't want that to happen, because I don't want to be used for Satan. My heart really belongs to Christ, even though they gave me to Satan. They can't take my free will.
No, they can try to. See, I've told people you can't even really sell your soul, because Jesus' blood redeems all souls. It really just comes down to a decision, if you will, free will. And as long as you have free will, you can choose Christ. I don't care what they tell you.
And I chose Christ when I was about 8 or 9 years old on Bowling Air Force Base, excuse me, underneath a toy that was shaped like a fighter jet. So I find that interesting in my life path now. But I mean, I was sincere, and it stuck with me, because it's a miracle I even go to church or have a relationship with Jesus, with all the satanic ritual abuse and being hurt by so many Christians. And
well, what should be done in your case is they should obviously, put someone like you on the air, even on regular mainstream radio, on Fox News. I would hope that someone like, say, an author like Henry Makow would get involved and help bring your story out. In fact,
I haven't heard of that author.
Trish, is there any way you could call Henry and see? Okay, so we'll try to work that out. Maybe because Henry has also been involved with Svali, I believe it was Svali. He's been a real champion of satanic ritual abuse victims, and I believe he would be in fact, right after the show today, I will call him myself and see if we can maybe set up kind of because this is a guy that's got a lot of credibility as an author, and so he would be able to, say, interview you and then put out a written story,
right?
A written interview that would carry with it credibility, and I think that would be a logical next step after this show.
Okay.
I've thought that a couple days ago to call upon Henry as well, because of because he's really been like a detective for years on this very subject. Bryce Taylor, Svali, all these other ones. He's really wanted to get at what is at the root of all this.
Right.
And what does this mean about our society?
Yeah.
And that's why that's the thing that kind of drives him at this point.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, I believe your story has a lot of credibility from everything that I've read and seen, and I'm kind of just trying to take it slowly, one step at a time, so our audience, our listeners, can understand that you're coming from a place of, you've given your life to Christ, obviously, but now all this is coming forth, and what you're wanting to do is live a whole life and live it for Christ. You don't want the altars that are pledged to Satan to continue in that vein.
Right. And also, I chose to come out as a survivor, even though I know I'm risking my life, but to help other people who've been in this situation, or in this situation,
Yeah, millions of them.
Yeah. What I've been telling people lately is, I am not rare. What is rare is that I'm conscious of it.
I've seen all around me, I see people that I can see. There's another one. There's another one. Who are mind control. One guy, I remember, gosh, he was a pastor of a church, and I was speaking to him, and in such a manner, we were really in the spirit, and it tripped his programming. And right before my eyes, he changed and started like repeating the same phrase over and over, like kind of like a robot.
Yeah.
And I said, I was like, and this is like a mega church.
Right.
Here he is, the pastor of a mega church, and he's a complete mind control slave.
Right.
And he's pastoring all these people. And then I discovered there were all kinds of government agents in the church keeping dossiers on people. When I popped one of them and just mentioned that he may be FBI or CIA or something, the next day he was shipped out.
Right.
To another church, another wing.
Huh. Yeah, I wanted to briefly tell you a story about this pastor that I was cleaning a house for. This is when I began to realize, hey, wait a minute, what is going on? He's a pastor of a church, but he gave me a gift one day of a Green Beret knife. And I realized later, this is odd. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a trigger because one day I had the knife and I was outside and I was like wanting to kill, and I'm like, whoa, I've got to get rid of this. And one day while I was cleaning his house, all of a sudden just my internal radar said he is not what he appears to be. And I had mentioned, because I sell books online, that because he was looking for a specific Bible, I said, well, I have a Masonic Bible, but you probably wouldn't want that because that would be an abomination. And he didn't say anything, and then shortly thereafter I realized he had a Masonic Bible, and the last day I cleaned his house, I opened it up and saw that he went through the process of initiation, passed, and raised, and I said, oh, that's why he didn't say anything. So,
there you go. A Luciferian pastor.
Yeah.
By the way, common as cornflakes in this country. Most pastors are satanic. And many of them are like this one in a little church somewhere whose programming tripped up, and then they had to take him somewhere. There's another guy that I'm just saying I run into people all the time.
Yeah.
And see, the cause I have on people, it's really strange. I'm able to break their. I don't know what I do, but it breaks their programming.
Yeah.
And then they have to be. Then you see people take them. They go on a vacation, and then when they come back, they don't talk to me again.
Yeah.
But what do they do to them on that vacation? Have you been reprogrammed, do you think?
I do think I was reprogrammed because 2 years ago I had moved back to the East Coast, and before I left, I was afraid of my own shadow. And when I came back a different person, and I am afraid of nothing, and I'm like a soldier now. So, I mean, I'm the complete opposite. I literally was afraid of everything, and now I'm the complete opposite. So I've been wondering, was I actually sent back to D.C. to be reprogrammed for a time? Although, I don't remember it. But I know I went there somebody and came back somebody else.
When and this is very similar to Duncan O'Finian and others. You claim that, in your work here, that you've been to the Pentagon.
Yes, I was inside the Pentagon at different ages as a child. And one of the only things I can remember is watching movies about Dracula. And now I find that so appropriate.
Because the
Pentagon is Dracula.
You get no argument here. You just get an applause for that one.
But I find that odd. Why was because my mom said that's where the generals used to watch movies. Because my stepfather was in the E ring, I think, which is the ring that was hit by the whatever it was. I can't say it was a plane because I don't think it was, but.
Where they had the missile, Rumsfeld described it as a missile attack.
That's what I think it was, yeah.
It was just someone fired a missile, and then they said later it was a plane. Mm-hmm. Because it was all done by the same people that are on TV every night telling you to watch out for threats.
Yeah.
Because it was an inside job. But that's old hat now. I mean, anyone with any sense knows it's an inside job.
Right.
How they could sit there and say Building 7 collapsed on its own and be on Fox News and beat down anybody that says, like when Rosie O'Donnell mentions Building 7 because it collapsed on its own without anything hitting it, without anyone blowing it up.
Right.
Excuse me. Things like that. You go, yeah, Building 7 just imploded just out of the blue.
Right.
And that's okay. But anyone who believes that there was some kind of conspiracy that had to...
That was a sympathetic building response, remember?
Oh, the sympathetic building response syndrome, where because one building goes down, other buildings decide to go ahead and implode just because they have some sort of, relationship.
And people actually buy that, huh?
Well, the whole country bought it. Only the kooks believe that Building 7 was imploded on purpose.
Right.
Only kooks would believe something like... See, that's... In other words, 9/11 then becomes the ultimate mind control psyop. You are taught that what you saw didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Just like in 1984, when they hold 4 fingers up, you say there's only 3.
Oh, I didn't see that movie, but...
Well, the book by George Orwell. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is classic mind control technique would be, okay, Building 7 went down without any agent, so obviously it was rigged to go, someone pulled the building, as they say. And it went down. And that was on television. And the public now believes there is no hanky-panky, the general majority, no hanky-panky.
Right.
So that would be mind control.
Right.
So once you've got them to that point, you can do anything in front of them. And that's why I believe, Randy, there's, satanic rituals go on in front of these people. They've slowly built up to it. In other words, they've learned to accept one level, then another, and pretty soon murders aren't any big deal.
Right.
Because bloodletting...
I really see war as just a sacrifice, like a black mass sacrifice.
Yeah, it says war is satanic ritual abuse and satanic ritual, but look at all the people cheering on the effort in Iraq and cheering on going on into Iran.
Yeah, and I really think we're in Iraq for something spiritual, not about the oil, because that was Babylon. And
yeah, there's something there that there's some territory that needs to be conquered. Obviously, they're not letting the people have it.
Yeah. So, and back to the Pentagon, my parents, my mom and stepfather, they don't know why I was there or how often I was there or how I even got there. So, I just know I was there many times, but what was I doing there? Why?
You described...
I remember meeting generals and stuff. And
yeah. Well, you were a very special child, and that they would have classes at the Pentagon, and then they would pull the special children out of the room, and they encouraged you to join the military.
They did, yes, but I didn't.
But don't you find that strange that they would pull you out in the hallway and then give you the military pitch when you're just a kid?
Exactly. I just had recently remembered that, and it is that is an actual fact that did happen. So. You mentioned Don Rumsfeld's office. Mm-hmm. Did you see Rumsfeld in the Pentagon? No, I don't think he was there then, because I was in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. I was just using that as an analogy of the people that work there, that are inside that building that I was in. Well, I believe he was also under Reagan, wasn't he? Was it Rumsfeld under Reagan or Nixon, or what? Reagan and Nixon. Oh, okay. I don't know who was there at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, obviously, my question then goes to this. Do you think those people there know what's going on who are working at the Pentagon? I don't think I think it's like the Masons that most of them don't know what's going on, but the top people do. Okay, just like this country. Yeah, just like any organization. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because I don't think my stepfather knows anything. And well, what are the plans, Randy? I mean, you're going to continue with therapy. You're really anxious to get these altars out. Do you have any idea how many altars there are? I don't. I'm conscious of about, 8 or 10 of them. Well, and I know that our system, we're wolf soldiers. And what I find interesting, because all those wolf pictures, did you know that the name Adolf translates to noble, majestic wolf? So Adolf Hitler means wolf. Yeah, there's a lot of wolf in German folklore. The wolf is very important in Germany for some reason. Yeah, so you found that you could speak
let's come to this now. You didn't have enough German classes to speak German, but then you found that you could speak or comprehend.
Speak other languages too.
Okay, how many languages do you speak?
I don't know how many, but I've spoken Latin, French, German, and an Asian language. I don't know which one, but I can't comprehend what I'm saying. But sometimes when I've caught some words I've translated, like one day in therapy, I couldn't leave for 6 hours. I was so dissociated, and I was in the bathroom, and when I translated it, I was speaking Latin, and I was saying lady, out of you," over and over again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, German, do you understand that language now?
Not consciously.
But
I can hear it when I speak it. And I go into foreign languages when I'm upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like it because I don't know what the alters are saying. Because they could be saying satanic stuff or doing satanic things, and because I don't understand what they're saying.
You say that when you're in public and you hear someone speaking in German, you go into a trance.
Yes.
What does that happen when you're in a trance?
It's just like I'm just like dissociated, and my mind shuts down, and it's hard to explain. I'm somewhere else. I'm not there.
Mm-hmm. So German dissociates you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the other part of this, what we're going to touch on now, because this time is really kind of flying by, and I think we've established that, you're really a sincere person who is, brave enough to come forward. You know you're surrounded by handlers and controllers, but you don't know who they are. It has to be very, very frightening for you day to day. It
is. I heard you talking about the paranoia, and I really have that right now. But, I can't live in fear. I just have to trust that, I am not going to die until God decides I'm going to die. And I'm willing to die for the truth, and to help others. But I really want to know who they are, because I don't want them to, have control over me. I'm not really afraid of being killed because I have so much knowledge inside. You could tell by the pictures. I think they just want to use that. But they may want to take me out if I don't want to go with the program. But
there's one picture you've drawn here of a building, and there are little winged demonic creatures, again with those same kind of ears pointing up, almost like a Doberman, right?
Yeah.
And they have wings, and they're just like little demons with capes. 3 on the top of the building, 3 lit up windows, and then stained glass windows, a cross, and above the cross it says Lebensborn Academy.
Right.
Have you ever been to Russ Disdar's site on Lebensborn Academy?
I just went there the other day.
But when you drew this, had you any knowledge of that? You didn't even know Russ then?
No. I told you the Nazi stuff came out before I even came across you or Russ Disdar or any of that.
I'm just going to go type this in the Google and see if anything comes up from it. Well, yes, I believe that I'm looking. I'm not seeing where where you have it right here. This one?
The maternity homes. That's how it started out, as a eugenics Nazi.
Okay, so here we have that sexuality and Nazism, and they talk about this Lebensborn.
You can't access these sites unless you're a student.
Okay.
I'll send you the link to Russ's site.
Okay, well,
a lot of the symbols that she's drawn are right on the cover.
Right. See, that's the thing. All the symbols that you have drawn on all these pictures happen to be associated with the Lebensborn Academy and mind control programs. Again, and for the people out there, there are symbols of like Heinrich's Wolf Reich youth soldier, and in a uniform that looks kind of like what alien uniforms are, with a swastika on his head, again with the kind of wolf ears.
Yeah.
With fangs, predatory impulse programming, loyal to the programming authority. These are good soldiers. This was drawn by Todd, the 14-year-old.
Right.
Pictures of pyramid-like structures with eyes and mouths with fangs, looking like bloodthirsty, with strange kind of cross on the top. Strange kinds of serpents with 3 heads and on each end of the serpent. Something that looks like a fish with its mouth wide open that's holding, it's like a table with a swastika on it. We're
See,
looking
and I have no idea what these are.
SS symbols with the SS kind of like lightning bolts in a circle. Downward stars with pentagrams, but the points of the stars, the 2 points above and the 1 point below goes through the circle. The 2 points to the side remains in the circle with the colors red, yellow, and green. There's another picture of like what looks like a ninja soldier, or like a kind of almost an Asian drawing, where you have the same kind of serpent behind his head. He's stretching his arms out as if to hold it, with 3 heads on each end. And outside the circle, that where the star is, there are 3 serpent creatures on each side of the circle, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arrows pointing into the circle, and then a kind of an H, like almost looks like Chinese pictogram writing.
Huh.
The other one is a chalice holding what looks like a sun, but instead of rays coming out of the sun, they are serpents. And I know this is going to be horrifying to you when you see these, public, but you're just going to have to understand these were all drawn pretty much by altars who knew something. And why do you suppose, Randy, that your altars drew these? Cooperated.
You mean to me, giving me the information?
Yes.
They probably want to be free. Yeah, although they're afraid.
Okay, well that, it's just overwhelming. And then there's one more picture I have to add I don't know if we can get this on, take a picture of this because it's kind of faded, but it's called, another altar you have is a girl.
Yes.
And she says, I am a spiritual princess, and draws like a little self-portrait.
Uh-huh.
But she draws a mature woman.
With big breasts.
with big boobs, some cleavage there, but wearing some sort of robe and a staff.
Yeah.
With a half moon, with a crescent moon at the top of the staff pointing upwards, and then some stars above that.
Yeah, and I don't know what that means, and that's Allison, my altar, who's 15, and she's a black witch. That's all I know about her.
Black witch meaning black arts?
Yeah.
Black magic.
Yes.
So, I had a kind of a nightmare regarding this whole thing, and it's... this one popped up, unfortunately, I will just say you're going to have to, before you look at these pictures, friends, you're going to have to cover yourself with the blood of Jesus. Now, Lebensborn, I'm looking at the, just happens to be, it's shatterthedarkness.net at Russ's site. There's Lebensborn with the SS symbol above, Lebensborn, a master race or the resurrection of the Nephilim. That's what it's concerned with. The symbols that Randy has drawn before she, in other words, this was a long time before she didn't get here. We told you about Russ, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I told you, I don't even know how I found you. I wasn't even looking for you. I was just praying because I knew this was dark spiritually, and my therapist and I were not going to be able to overcome the spiritual side, and I needed spiritual help. And there's nobody that I know locally or at my church who's going to be able to help me. So that was just a blessing. God just put you in my life. So.
Well, anyway, so regarding the whole Lebensborn issue, there's some information there. Has that information helped you that you've read there? Nazi baby farms creating the master race.
Right. I just don't understand, is there a Lebensborn in America? Because I don't know how it relates to me being in America. Yeah. So. Right.
There are Lebensborn survivors apparently in America too. People they're older, whose programming they finally, lived to tell, and they decided to tell what they knew.
Right.
But the main thing is Lebensborn ultimately is about the return of the Nephilim, which is biblical. It's about, I believe, ultimately about hybridization and, a master, not just a master race of Nephilim, of hybrids, but ultimately, because they wouldn't be human, they would ultimately be hybrids. But ultimately what it's all about is creating a satanic world order where the whole purpose is it to be anti-God, without God, and to use the humans to get it, but of course dispense with the humans once it's in sight. Use them for their seed, use them for the womb, use them for the genetics, But then once you've got what you want, dispense with them. Get rid of the human genome altogether.
Right.
Which is the same thing as before the flood. So here we are again. But that's what I believe that Adolf Hitler was all about. The New Age is all about. New Age movement is all about. Ultimately, I think it's about eugenics, genocide of people, using them for their genetics first, and then destroying or killing off the earlier race because they would be inferior.
Right.
So that's what I think the whole point of it all is. And, of course, the whole reason for the secrecy is because it's against God. Everything they do is antichrist.
Yeah.
The ritual, the reason they kill people and traumatize them is because it's antichrist.
Yeah.
So they all believe in God. Or they wouldn't do what they do.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. But like you said, I've heard you say, or Russ, that they really believe they're going to win. And
that's insane.
It is. And, you know, I don't hate these people. I actually feel sad for them because their reward is here now, and then when they die, it's awful.
There will be, you know, it's all I can tell you is that, you know, the enemy of humanity and the enemy of God, if they sign on to be that, they'll get what they want. They'll be, I believe, as the book of Obadiah says, the children of Esau will be as if they never were. That's my personal belief. You know, other people say they'll be roasting in hell, but all I have to say is, well, I won't be remembering who they are, where they are.
Yeah.
I'll be moved on. I can easily live without them.
Yeah. I just desire that no one go to hell. That's why I even have compassion for the Satanists, you know.
I do too, but I'm not really sure the issue is hell or not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the hell described in certain sections of the Bible is, you know, sometimes I read it as metaphor. Some people are purists and they say, nope, that means you're literally going to be roasting in the fires of hell. It's a real place and it's awful. And I have respect for that point of view too. It's something I grapple with. Do I worry? No. And I'll tell you why. I don't worry because I know that the Good Shepherd gets every one of the sheep. That God is perfect in every way, and that He will. And if He wants me to talk to people and talk to Satanists, I do. I talk to them all the time. I'm talking to them right now. I mean, not you, but I mean out there and who are listening.
Yeah.
And the advice I was sort of facetious today. I said, "Here's my advice to you: don't repent and live it up, because you don't have much time, so you might as well just party from now to then." Because if you repent, you're going to find the walk too difficult. Believe me, you won't be able to make it. So just forget the repenting. Just go ahead and have fun.
Yeah.
And of course, they have no peace because everything they do and think revolves around us. It's it's either if only they weren't here, or we need to get control of them. But they can't live without us.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing in the world. They go, well, we don't believe in God, and we don't believe in Satan, but we can't live without you. And it's like, well, then obviously you believe in God, and you're just in this state of complete crazy insanity denial. Way more mind control than you will ever be. Well, let's move on to the next thing. So Lebensborn is a part of it. Do you believe that did they use you in the past for military operations? Do you think?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't have the military programming if they didn't. I even remember someone, at the time when that Korean man was training us. It's good being small because when you're small, you can get into places other people can't.
What do you mean small?
Well, because I was always a smaller child. I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'2". And as a child, I was small and thin.
Very agile.
Yes, and that's when I realized I got the implicit memory of the martial arts. I have perfect balance now. And I'm 41 years old, and I have the balance and abilities of a child, how you can move as a child. And also my body has transformed. I suddenly lost a lot of weight, and I just started gaining muscle without really doing anything or changing my diet. People say, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I'm not doing anything. So I don't know what that's about either.
Do you could be working out, not be aware of it.
I thought about that too, yeah.
Well, what are your goals for the immediate future? I mean, what do you hope to gain, say, in the next 6 months?
Well, I feel like I'm supposed to be writing. I just don't know exactly what. And I just continue. You know, I am dedicated the rest of my life, however long or short that is, in fighting them and speaking the truth. This is interesting. I found out from my mother that when I went to nursery school, they didn't even know I could speak for a long time. I didn't speak for like 6 months. And it's really interesting because now I won't shut up.
Wow.
But, I mean, that shows that something happened because it's not normal not to speak because children are very talkative.
So you believe you were a wolf soldier, what they
Yeah.
call a wolf soldier,
Yeah,
and that they use the wolf soldiers for certain operations
yeah.
that they can't do or couldn't do as adults.
I guess so. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm at the beginning of my memories, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have like an encyclopedic mind and a video camera memory.
And that's very common as well.
Yeah.
Because as I'm reading it, I'm just, you know, you have an article here, very well written, that looks like it's online, actually.
Is it?
Well, it says it was from Google Docs.
Well, I typed it up online because I couldn't find my word processing program, but I didn't intend to put it online. So I don't know if you can get to it or not.
I see. Okay. Well, this
But
is...
you can print that too if you want. This doesn't matter to me.
Okay. But anyway, you write a very excellent article about stolen identity, the wolf soldiers, and about the altars that are coming forward. But then about 3/4 of the way through, you say, anyone, especially psychiatrists, who continue to deny the reality of multiplicity and refer to it as a delusion are complicit in the continued perpetration of our abuse.
Absolutely. Because they know it's true because they're the ones who did the programming.
Yes.
You know, if you go through Colin Ross's book, I mean, I haven't read it, but I just, you know, read about it. And
They've aired this on, was it the History Channel?
yes,
Well, that's a mainstream source.
exactly. It's
People
not
still don't
some-
believe. They still don't believe. It's been on mainstream television.
Exactly. And I
he's
think
a-
I mentioned that in the article I wrote.
Well, you mentioned that they put it on mainstream TV, and it talks all about the mind control experiments done on children, and how many psychiatrists were perpetrators in all this,
Yeah.
and exposes it all. And what, a yawn? You know, the odd thing is, this is completely, utterly criminal. You're talking about kidnapping. You're talking
Yeah.
about satanic ritual abuse, which means sexual trauma against children. You're
Yeah.
talking about making children participate in satanic bloodletting rituals, in other words, murder. And you're making everyone who's around in a position of authority complicit in this horrible shame of our society. And law enforcement has no say? Are they above the law?
Yes, they are, because I see them drive and drink and drive all the time at this place I go.
They run over 50 people. Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll get it, you know. They just exist above the law, don't they?
Yes, they do. And it really bothers me. No, I see it all the time, you know. And some of them are high up in the police, and they drink and drive every weekend at this bar I go to.
They drink and drive. Why do they? Because they feel they're just above the law? They can just...
Yeah, because they protect each other. You know, it's very rare that another police will give another police a DUI ticket. Usually it's if an accident and you can't cover that up, but... You know, they're friends. They all know each other.
Well, we talked about lambs the other day. You said, well, you know, people that are not conformed to this system. And boy, isn't it lovely now that you know what being conformed to the system now is, folks? How could anyone ever even write me an email and say they advocate conformity? They can't with a good they're scared to death of you if you have that, because they realize they're... Well, let me ask you, Randy, are they part and parcel then, the people that are conformed to our society who have consented to the little bit of evil in order to have their, you know, be left alone and be able to have a position in society? Do they know that they're a part of this, complicit in the criminality, or do they think it's just, what do you think?
I don't think most people are really aware of that it involves the whole Luciferian thing. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's kind of like the Masonic organization, that it's only, or a lot of organizations, as you go higher up, then you get more knowledge. about it.
The ones I've spoken to, though, they've all agreed that it's evil, that it's wrong. But they do it because they want to put food on. In other words, they're given the choice that, well, if I have to feed my children, I'm going to obviously play the game.
Yeah. I haven't specifically, talked to these people and asked them, so...
Mm-hmm. You made another comment that you said, well, you think a lot of these people that resisted it are in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Who've resisted the real Luciferian way our society runs.
In jail, in psychiatric institutions.
Yeah. Well,
murdered.
Go ahead.
I just said murdered.
Oh, murdered, yeah. As a sacrifice, that's the most common, I think.
Yeah.
But it's usually listed as a suicide or an accident.
Yeah. See, I told you about this guy. I think I told you this guy that I met when I was in the hospital. And I tell you, that hospital, I will never go back because they do nothing to help you. I was just re-traumatized.
Why were you in the hospital?
Well, because I was dissociating, and my therapist and I were hesitant to put me in there because we know for multiples that the traditional psychiatric setting can be re-traumatizing because they just don't know what they're doing or they don't care.
I don't think they care.
I don't think they care either. But because one of my alters was wrapping a cord around my neck because at the time I was living in a dumpy trailer and it didn't even have a doorknob, so I had to close it with this wire and lock it with handcuffs. It was really bad, but God bless me, and I'm in a good apartment now. But so I was wrapping that around my neck and dissociating, and the thing is, I could have accidentally choked myself, so that's why I went in. But we weren't sure that I was suicidal. I almost feel like someone that couldn't speak was trying to communicate with me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so.
And how long were you there?
About 4 or 5 days. Oh, yeah, so I met this guy, and he said that he was a Christian and that he actually saved people from being sacrificed right in the middle of rituals, and he really got me good. And while we were there, at one point in the dining room...
Sorry, was he a patient?
Yes, he was.
Okay, he's a co-patient then.
Yes, but he looked familiar, but I don't remember ever meeting him. But one day in the dining room, I heard this loud piercing in my ear, just like a tone, and he goes, "Oh, you heard that too." But, thinking about it now, he didn't have to have heard it. He could have just been responding to, seeing me hear it. But then after we got out, he kept calling and leaving message about cult murders, and I was just getting really paranoid, and he said he'd been in San Quentin, and I looked that up, and I'm like, that's where they put the worst criminals. And But the thing is I had gotten some Masonic research, and he was wanting to make money. He was saying he wanted to help, but it was really about the money. And I started looking at the fruit. What was the fruit of this guy being in my life? And because I really at first thought he was on God's side, and then I don't think so now. And that's why I changed my number and didn't tell him, and now he doesn't.
Incredible. Yeah, they have, let me just reiterate something that I've spoken many times. In psychiatric institutions, they oftentimes will have plants as roommates. They're not really patients. And they're put there in order to work with the patient to make them see sense. Because the families involved oftentimes they put their kids in there because the kids aren't getting with the program. It's not that they're crazy, they're just not going along with the programming.
Yeah.
And so they put the kids in there to be programmed by the institution is not about healing, it's about programming.
I believe that.
So they put a plant in as a roommate to help guide the programming along. That's very, in fact, that's one of the most common practices and one of the deepest, darkest secrets in America, but that is quite common from, coast to coast and around the world. That's very, very common.
Yeah, and like Russ Dizdar said, we're not crazy, us multiples. We're very acute. So it didn't take me long to figure out this is not a good guy.
Well, Randy, good. You got discernment. You're here. The Lord obviously has a great work for you to do. And being an activist and about this, and I just welcome you to this fight. you make me happy just because of the fact that, a few years ago I was considered just the ultimate. I was so considered crazy that this doctor gave me this certificate that he signed, and it was notarized, that said I was sane. He said, when they come to get you, you could use this for the judge. If they try.
Good.
I still have that letter. But, of course, see, there have been so many people who've come forward since then.
Yeah.
And validated everything I said. So they can't just point a finger and go, oh, look at the crazy man.
Yeah.
But I found that to be just one of the most hilarious things. I had no idea how I looked to other people, but
yeah,
ranting and raving about the Satanists and the whole society is Satan.
I know. I'm finding that I'm making enemies now, and I said this is going to take some getting used to because I'm used to people, liking me, but when you start speaking the truth. People don't like you so much anymore.
It's odd because you would think, a lot of these people are like, they all talk about love and peace and all that until you start talking about what's going on. And then suddenly, these are the most hateful people you've ever met. You're going, my God, I thought they were all about love.
Yes.
But no, when it comes to Jesus, when it comes about this battle, when it comes about this particular, when it comes to Satanism, when it comes to, the truth and exposing all what's secret, at that point, you see their true colors.
Yeah.
That their lives are based on hatred.
Yes.
Not love. The love is just something they hypocritically project. In fact, there almost may be a supernatural aspect to making so the world sees them as good when they're really totally evil.
Yeah.
They saw Adolf Hitler as brilliant and wonderful and lovely back in the 30s.
Yeah.
And only later did he start appearing like a monster.
Yeah.
He was the great liberator.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, and I don't believe the Nazis really lost the war. They just moved to America.
No, America is not. You have Karl Rove. You got the Bohemian Grove.
Yes.
Bohemian Club. The Ford Foundation, Carnegie Foundation.
Right.
You have the Trilateral Commission. You got the Council on Foreign Relations. These are all satanic Luciferian organizations. You have. Oh, I'm sorry. They're all secular organizations, which is the same word as Luciferian organization. Yeah. It's the same word.
I keep telling everybody, we are the Fourth Reich.
I like the way you said that, Reich. And, this is not to say that my German friends who happen to be musicians, if you listen to this, your eyes are just opening. Would you do me one favor, please, just this once? Would you please not blame the messenger? Just this once, will you consider that maybe what's being said is true? Please? Because, I have a lot of scars from people just beating the crap out of me and then 5 years later apologizing.
Yeah, I'm just starting to feel that. That's why I said I got to get used to this.
Please. Do you mind? I just did a song that was like kind of like riffing on the sort of L.A. Doors, Jim Morrison, L.A. Woman thing of the 70s. It was just like riffing on it. I just kind of broke into it. And it's really just shit, kind of like doing a dark treatment on drugs, L.A. It's really subversive because it's not celebrating it. Like, the people on the other side, I think it disturbs them because they want, him to be like, and it's like this mad poet god. It's like, excuse me, have you seen the picture of him just before he died? He was a mind control slave working for the system but he's an artist and a brilliant poet. So what happened is when he got to the point, just like Kurt Cobain, I believe, got to the point of coming out of the programming, they iced him. That's my take on Morrison. That's my take on Cobain. That's my take on Jimi Hendrix. Go right down the line. They were messed with by others. They had handlers. They had a demonic programming. They had they were slaves to the. But an artist, a true artist, as I believe these people were, their basic intention is to come to the truth. But the people around them cannot afford it because all the money and everything is wrapped up in them being rebellious Satanists, And that's not who they were. They were dupes. They were used. They were programmed. They were created.
Do you know how to find out who your handlers are?
Well, usually they contact you and they act like First of all, they say, well, I'm a Christian brother, Christian sister, just like you. And hey, I heard your testimony. It was really cool. And my name is so-and-so, and I'd like to stay in touch. And they start working in like that. And in fact, after this show, I'm sure that you'll probably, now that I've said this, they won't. But it starts just like that. They act like they're total strangers. They don't know much about you. They try to get you to say a few things about yourself when they're experts on you.
You know what I find really interesting, and I'm wondering about, I told you about the person that I met that actually began opening my memories. Recently, the last few times, she did something in sequence of threes. Like one time she squeezed my arm 3 times, didn't even say anything. And that night, when I was in the bathroom, I just saw in my mind blood coming out of the sink. And then last time she was saying, I really like your shirt. 3 times, though. So I'm just...
Those are trigger phrases.
Yeah, but I don't know if she's conscious or not. I just know that she's the one that opened my memories, so there's something about her.
Yeah, there's also the ones who are programmed, who are used to do things like that so that the real perpetrators remain hidden.
Yeah.
And then these people that interact with you, they don't know anything.
And it's another police officer.
Well, the police are useful. When you want to when you want to have a world takeover, world domination, it would help if you have all the police in your pocket.
Absolutely.
And all you got to do is, they make a meager salary, so you just say, hey, kids in private school, and you know what I mean, all the drugs and drinking you want to do, paid vacation anywhere you want to go, and all you got to do is sign on. I mean, versus getting, $30,000 a year and a lousy pension that will only afford you dog food.
Yeah.
Here you go. All you got to do is say, YES. And then everything will be cool.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have a lot of compassion for that. I understand. That's the game again. There it is again. It's our whole society. Is anyone going to do anything about it? Randy, what I believe is that no one's going to do anything about it, that we are going to go ahead and go off the cliff. That's what I believe. That's my belief today. That there is no last-minute Nineveh type of thing where Jonah warned them and then they repented and then God spared them. None of that, and then they lived a while longer and then they got whomped. No, I don't see that.
You see the world going to hell in a handbasket?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, me too. I wish...
I'm sorry, but my thing now is like, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say, Lord? I'm not going to worry about, the masses. My only word to the masses who have chosen, consciously know there's God, consciously chosen the world, consciously initiated themselves in the system, consciously taking part in all this. I said to them, don't bother repenting and, trying to go through all this. You probably couldn't do it. Just go ahead and live it up. Because the time is so short right now that I believe that this show is happening to wake up the kind of the last round of God's children. But basically the doors are shutting and, the opportunity for... I just don't believe there's a lot of time left in this whole thing.
Right. Well, once I came across your show, I realized, the time is short and it's time. There's no more time for playing games. You have to be serious in your spiritual walk. Because time is short.
Yeah, I mean, acting like they do, they act like they don't have any religion at all, and they're fierce spiritual warriors. They're fiercely religious, but it's just that it's hidden. They don't talk about it. Okay, well, folks, we are, have run over our time, but it's really a pleasure talking to you. You stay right there, okay? Randy, my guest today has been Randy, and she is, obviously, you've heard her story, and you would have to be, totally insensitive and almost stupid to not understand what's been going on here, show after show, witness after witness, testimony after testimony. We tell you the same thing about your world that you created. When I say you, I mean people who are down with it. There is only one love, and that one love is Christ. There is no other one love. There is no other door that goes anywhere but circles back around and basically reinforces the system. That's where all doors lead except one. Are you finally going to wake up? Waking up meaning to reverse your choice that you made earlier in your life? You know, no, you don't fool anybody going to church. You don't fool anybody. As you just heard Randy say, there is somebody in the psychiatric institution with her because she was dissociating and she had to be, you know, she went there because she needed to be protected. We just read some A.W. Tozer today, which was quoting from, John 6:44, I believe. It was just saying how the Lord has to draw people. In other words, I don't expect to go to churches and find anything but mausoleums. Why should they be? Unless there's life first, unless someone really has the call first, unless someone's been drawn by the Lord, they can go to church every day, all day long, and they won't be with it. It's a spiritual. It's not so much your will and your ideas. It's really the Lord's will and His timing. And everything is really based on His timing. Well, with that, I bid you shalom. I bid you peace. Get serious about your spiritual walk. Get serious about your position. And be ready to defend your position and defend the gospel and defend the faith when called upon. When you get out there in the world, yes, become like them that you'll win all the more. But then there's a time where you're going to have to reveal yourself and take the heat one way or the other. They either like it or they'll hate it. But whatever it's going to be a reaction. Jesus is the most hated entity on the face of the earth. He is the rock of offense and the stumbling block of the whole world. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus.